As I bring up this next person here, a young lady who's a dear friend of my daughter, who is doing phenomenal things in Houston, Texas. She is a proud native of Flint, Michigan. Chylyfe is a woman of faith and purpose, guided by resilience, integrity, and vision. With over 15 years of experience in marketing, building award-winning campaigns for brands like McDonald's, Experian, and Howard Hughes, Chylyfe has built her career rooted in creativity, strategy, and passion for connecting brands with people. But it's her faith that's the foundation for what she does and how she leads. Her favorite scripture, which is what Pastor preached on this Sunday. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weakness, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. And as Chylyfe comes in her own way to not only share what the Lord has placed on her heart, I pray that you will not only receive her word, but that you will be encouraged by her message. And so as she comes in her own way, I want you to stand up and extend your right hand and say, Chylyfe, let God use you.
Let God use you
to bless us.
To bless us.
Amen.
Amen.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
And it's hard to come after Angel. I know she mentioned she had a procedure, but they didn't touch anything that had to do with singing. Right. Thank you so much for blessing us with that. Greetings, sisters from Houston, Texas. My name is Chylyfe. I am so excited to join you all today. I heard yesterday was a vibe. Y'all had a good time yesterday?
Yes.
And this morning is already starting off in an extremely powerful way. I want to thank the leadership at Antioch Church, Sister Charmaine Respis, and all of the members here for having me. I attend the Belfort Church of Christ in Houston, Texas under James Glenn, and I'm just happy to be here. I would be remiss if I didn't also acknowledge my earthly passage into the world, my mother, who is here too, my sister and my nieces. You know, I'm so excited that they're here. I bet y'all, they're probably sitting there thinking, I never thought I would see Chylyfe speaking in a church. But that leads me to my next point. I'm not a preacher or a pastor, but I am here to share my story and give some of my business, like Sister Respis said, hoping that I can touch you all. But I am a preacher's daughter, and I'm a middle child, so if that says anything about how you think I may have lived my life, I got some stories for you. But we're here to elevate one another, connect and recharge with women who want the best for themselves, want the best for their families, because we know what God has in store for us, and we know that we just have to do our part. I know we didn't talk about this. I have a couple visuals. I don't know if you all have them in the back, but the first one, so we're gonna, my conversation is about eliminating distractions, and I think if you click it again, it may go, okay. It's okay, it's a video, but maybe it's not playing, that's fine. The first thing I was gonna say, my topic is eliminating distractions. I'm gonna keep this, I'll keep it. Eliminating distractions beyond the noise. And with that, I just say, can you please put your phones on D&D, and whoever else you got calling or texting right now, ask them if they can wait until we finish this conference today. But I would rather talk to this room than get on YouTube and talk to those people, because I know the spirit of the ladies that are in this space. And so we're here to listen, but we do not
judge.
Okay, I don't know, some of y'all might not know that. I think I got a couple millennials in here. We listen, but we don't
judge.
There we go, okay. So I think it's interesting they gave me the topic of beyond the noise, eliminating distractions, because what I do for a living is literally watch what all of you do online. I am literally gauging the behaviors, looking at your search history, not personally, but just the behaviors of people. And so I know some of us would never want somebody to see our Google search history. I know mine, I probably died from a bump 1,000,000 times. But if you think about this, God is the ultimate Google, the ultimate search engine that listens and hears all the things that we even do or don't think or say. And so just imagine if we had His presence in our lives, in our search history, every single day for all of the things that we go through. So for 14 years, I've studied human behavior, sociological patterns that drive marketing decisions, and the only way that we get that data is the power that you give it. It's in what you do every day when you're online, it's in the pages that you follow, it's in the content that you like and share. But then where does God fit into that picture? And for me, for a long time, he was not in that picture. I was so distracted with everything else that I was not paying attention to God. So what I want to talk about today is that wherever we are in the world, where we're eliminating distractions with all the things that are going on, even this week, we got on the internet and we see people dying, literally on the internet. And it's become so typical that we don't even realize what impact that's happening on us on a day-to-day basis. We're so distracted, we don't even know people's real names. You see somebody in public and I'm like, oh, that's Cherie Can't Stand Nobody Jones. And I forgot that Can't Stand Nobody wasn't in her name because I'm only knowing her from Facebook. So let's get back to being really who we are as real people. So today I'm going to talk about a lot of moments in my life where I was distracted and God literally eliminated the distraction for me, because I want to encourage you to eliminate the distraction so you don't have to learn the lessons that I learned. At 27, I'm going to tell y'all a story about 27. 27, I was doing really well. I was living in Dallas. I had gotten a job marketing for McDonald's. Career was going well. Family was going well. Friends were doing well. And I was making a decent amount of money, more than a lot of my friends at 27. And I got a job offer to move to Detroit. So I moved up to Detroit, Michigan. And about 2 months after I got there, and we're all ladies in the room, so this may be a little graphic. As soon as I got there, my cycles started just getting excruciatingly painful. And at the time, I wasn't going to church. I didn't have a prayer life. I was completely disconnected from God because I knew I had to disconnect to live the life that I wanted to live and be comfortable with that. A lot of times we do that. We don't know that we disconnect from God because our conscience is so heavy, we want to make it okay. And that's what I was doing. So I started having really, really bad cycles, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? But I ignored it. I keep doing what I'm doing, going out, having fun, ignoring the signs, and then it became unbearable to the point that if I would have a cycle, I would have to lay on the floor with my feet in the air until the cramps passed. And so then I realized, like, something is not right. Something is not right. I need to get this checked out. And so I go to the doctor, and they tell me I have fibroids. Do I have any ladies in here that have fibroids? Any fibroid warriors? Yeah, so I go to the doctor, and they say I have fibroids, and they say I have 3 of them. So I'm like, okay, I have 3, like that's kind of a lot of pain to be having 3 fibroids, you know? And so I go through this whole process at 27 for like 6 months of the year where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna listen to what the doctors are saying, not trusting in God, not having a relationship with God, just living life on my own accord. At 6-month mark, I'm realizing like I have been bleeding for 6 months straight. And I am nearly about to pass out. I could barely stand up, and the back of my head would just knock like somebody was hitting me with a brick. I get to the doctor and they're like, you're at a 2 blood count. I don't know how you walked in here, you're at heart failure. You should not be living right now. We give people blood transfusions at a 7 or 8. So I had an immediate surgery. I had to find blood through the family. I have a unique blood type, and it was this whole process. But this was the first time that God really shook me, like, I'm gonna give you another chance. Because if it was my time to go, that would have been the moment to take me. And so I went through that whole process. I sat down, and this is where my favorite scripture comes into play, 2 Corinthians 12:10, because Paul was talking about his vision, and he was boastful. And he really wanted God to stop the pain that he was causing on him. And God literally put a thorn in Paul's flesh, a thorn in his flesh. And if you know anything about fibroids or really bad cycles, it will feel like a thorn in your flesh. So I felt exactly like Paul. But then Paul, later in the verse, he talks about how God could not take that thorn out of his flesh because that was the moment that he was meant to strengthen him. And so at that moment, I just felt like, yeah, for God's sake, for Christ's sake, I delight in weakness, in insults and hardships and persecutions and difficulties, because for when I am weak, then I am strong. That was 27. I made it through that moment, and I continued to do what I wanted to do. Now, you know how God gives you a second chance, and then you like, okay, God, you get me through this, I'm not going to do that again, and then you go a couple weeks, and then you go right back to doing it again, because you forget what it felt like 2 weeks ago. And so that's what I did. I continued living life how I wanted to live it. I continued doing the things I wanted to do. I didn't grow closer to God in that moment. And so then there was something that happened after that. I realized I had people that were standing in the gap for me while I was distracted. Do I have gap standers? You're standing in the gap for your kids, your grandkids, your spouse, your coworkers. I had gap standers. And I did not know I was disrespecting my gap standers. But God had so much love for them that he loved me through them, even while I was distracted. So what's funny is all the moments over the years that we lived and required deep thought, it gets quiet. It gets really, really quiet. If you think about it, when you're a kid and they're saying, oh, it's reading time, it's learning time, it gets quiet. When it's prayer time, it gets quiet. When you're driving and you can't make your way with your directions, what's the first thing that you do?
Turn
the music down. You think that what you're hearing is messing up what you're seeing on the maps versus the road, but for some reason, you turn the music down. And so just imagine if all the moments that we really needed our brains to connect excellently so we could absorb, to react, to decipher the right things, that we sat and had quiet time with God. He requires that same focus for us to keep ourselves from being polluted by the world, as God talks about in the book of James. But again, my sister, I warned you, eliminate the distractions on your own or God will eliminate them for you. A couple of years later, at 31, it seems like God gets me every couple of years. He's like, I'm going to give you a couple years to get right, and then I'm going to hit you with something else because I see that you are not being obedient. At 31, it's a sunny day in Houston. If you know anything about Houston, it rains all the time. You would think that we're a tropical city. It rains all the time. There's always traffic. It's like LA now in Houston. And I feel like Dallas is starting to absorb some of Houston's kind of traffic behavior. We got to talk about that. But it was a sunny day in Houston, surprisingly. It was no traffic, surprisingly, and I'm on 59. I was leaving from one meeting going to another. And I hear a screeching sound, just like a... And then I just felt the impact from behind, and that completely pushed me so far up the highway. I had totaled my car from somebody hitting me going 90 from the back, and it looked like a parked car accident. But I knew at that moment I was spared, because if there were a car even a couple of feet in front of me, I would have been smashed in the middle. So if God wanted to take me then, that would have been the moment. That's the second time. God has a way of speaking to us, fighting through the noise, eliminating the distraction, and trying to get you to hear him, and then making the impact. And so many times in my life, I've heard him, but then I didn't do what I was supposed to do, and so then there was an impact. Just think about all the gospel songs that you hear on a day-to-day basis. Do those really penetrate your spirit? The clips of the preachers talking, the religious debates online that require our engagement now more than ever. God will speak and then make impact happen. There's probably no less distracted person than a woman with kids. Y'all got kids in here? I'm not a mom yet. But I walk into people's houses with kids and I'm like, it's so much going on in here. And y'all can just be watching TV like nothing is happening around you. And I'm like, you're not gonna tell them to stop banging on this? And they're like, no, you just learn how to live with it. So just imagine that God got your attention like that. I have to work on that, because I will watch some dust blow across the floor and I think it's an intruder. I'm so distracted. But I admire the ability to disconnect and lock in as mothers that you all are able to do, that I hope that I gain that skill. Shout out to my sister, because she is like the queen at that. So another scripture I wanted to highlight is Habakkuk 1 verses 1 through 10. So I went to church last Sunday, and the preacher was talking about Habakkuk and how he was questioning God, because in a lot of these moments that it has been my distraction or me being so engulfed in the world that I wasn't listening. And so Habakkuk in chapter 1, he's questioning God. He's like, God, do you not see what's going on around here? Do you not see that these people are committing crimes and there's violence everywhere? Why are you not doing anything? Aren't you the good and the perfect man? And then God tells him, don't worry, I got it. I'm going to handle all of these people. It's not going to come without your despair, but I'm going to handle it. And you have to trust that I'm going to handle it. And so again, I urge you ladies, eliminate the distractions before God does it for you. My third time, and this is my third time to charm, this year, 2025, so I hit 27, I hit 31, and then now I'm 34. And this one is just 5 months ago. April 13th, 2025, I got up, I got dressed for church. I was super excited for my day. Y'all be excited on Sundays?
Mm-hmm.
I be excited on Sundays because I really like the church that I go to, and it's a vibe. So I was excited for my day, but then after church, I also was super excited because I was playing in my first flag football game in 8 years. Now, I know y'all don't know me, but those of you right here that know me for a little while, flag football has been my thing since college. If the NFL had flag football for women 10 years ago, I'd have been on the team right now. So I was going to have a great time in worship, and I was going to play in my first flag football game in 8 years, and I was going to have a great day. That was my expectation. But that morning I got up, I was playing my gospel music, getting ready for church. I was recording videos on Instagram like, hey y'all, I'm going to church and I'm playing my first flag football game. And I got to church and I was praying so hard, like, God, please don't give me no injuries. Please, like, just keep everybody safe on the field, keep everybody healthy, and it's gonna be all right. I got to church, I was saying my own prayer, and they was up there praying, I was sitting there praying about flag football that day. So I get out of church and I go buy all this gear. I got mouthpieces, and y'all should have saw me. I was draped out like an NFL player. And I get there and I'm balling. I get to the field early, an hour early. I'm stretching. I'm making sure. I'm like, yeah, you got to warm up. Like, you're 34 now, you can't. But I was destined to make sure that these 20-somethings knew that I could still hang. So I'm balling. I'm ball first quarter, second quarter. I scored touchdowns, getting sacks, doing my thing. And then fourth quarter came, and I ran a route and ruptured my Achilles. So at this moment, I ruptured my Achilles. I'm an entrepreneur, I own a company. I'm also on stages, I produce a game show, and I have a show in 3 weeks. And I'm just like, why did this have to happen to me? So I'm driving home, I'm in silence. I'm driving home in the silence, I can't even brake, it's my right foot. I'm about to run into the back of people. I get home, I'm crawling on the floor, and I just hold my foot up to the sky, and I'm just like, why? Like, why me? And again, I knew why. I heard God talking to me in that moment because everything around me was quiet. I didn't make a phone call. I didn't send a text message. I didn't open Instagram. I took a moment and just said, I have to get right. This is happening to me because I know that I am not doing what I need to do. And I know God is not a cause and effect God. He's not a God that's like, oh, you sin today, I'm punishing you tomorrow. I know it doesn't work that way. But I can look at the trajectory of my life and my behavior and my decisions, and I can make correlations to why God has allowed certain situations and things to happen to me and for me, just so I can learn from that. So if you know anything about the Achilles, it's the largest tendon in your body. It connects your calf to your foot. It controls all of your movement in terms of walking, running, jumping. A lot of important nerves and cables that keep your body running run through your foot. I have more foot facts. I'm an honorary podiatrist. If anybody got foot problems, holler at me after the conference. I got tips for your feet, for sure. But that moment, life changed for me. Everything changed, and it clicked for me again that I'm not living and trusting God the way that I should. And I heard a voice saying, get up, you'll be stronger. And so I waited for my best friend to come, and I was like, I need to go to the hospital. I need to figure out what I need to do because I'm on limited time. I got 2 weeks before I got to be on stage. I got to get right. So I was able to take some time off work and be still. I had surgery. It was still. It was quiet. I got off of social media for weeks. It was quiet. The house was quiet. And in that moment, I was able to listen to God in a way that I never had before. All of my questions, all of my speculations about what I thought God wanted from me became a lot clearer, and I just needed to listen to hear. But I asked you, how many lessons does it take until you learn it in that quiet time? God wasn't going to make it easier for me, but he was going to make me stronger through it. I was going to be made perfect through my weakness. And so I encourage you to cut the Wi-Fi. As I was planning this message, I was thinking about all of the moments where we're forced into stillness without trauma. That's on an airplane when they cut the Wi-Fi. You got to sit there. The only thing you can do is go through your photo album and try to delete some stuff to clear up space in your phone. When you in the country, visiting, I got family in East Texas, and you lose signal, you have time to be still. On the beach and in places that you don't have a lot of noise, where water is, where the sky and the trees are blooming, that is where it's better to take time with God and you can hear him clearly. Some of ourselves know ourselves too well, so we train ourselves also to be distracted. Our man leaves the house to go to Home Depot. We got to find a movie, scroll the phone, be on a laptop to keep from thinking that the finest woman in Home Depot is about to wreck my house. But you got to think about why. Why sitting still creates worry or fear or anxiety. We procrastinate a big project for work or school until the last second because we're too distracted with things that are not priorities to get the work done. And then we put ourselves down that it wasn't our best. Well, sis, you did 2 weeks worth of work in 24 hours. Like, what did you think? it can't be your best. So we got this health issue. I'm gonna say this because I know I'm guilty. We wait until God almost calls a tooth home to go to the dentist. And we gotta stop doing that, because you'll be at dinner eating with people just trying to distract yourself from the pain in every tooth. But you gotta continue to attend to the things that you know that you need to work on. Ignoring the situations that need attention, ignoring the body that needs healing, ignoring the parts of us that we really need to work on. In my study, I came across Luke chapter 21, which is a parable of offerings. And the rich were giving their offering, and a widow came and dropped her offering of 2 small copper coins. And Jesus celebrated her little giving because it was more than what the rich gave in comparison to what she had. So he begins to talk about this chapter, and this chapter is almost all red. And I used to love red chapters as a kid because I take that yellow highlighter and then the text turns orange. I mean, I know it's irrelevant, but I just like reading the red parts, because Jesus is talking. But he starts to talk about the signs of the ends of the time, not to create fear, but to command attention and relinquish worry with what his intention is in the last day for them to be faithful. He said, be careful or your hearts will be weighed down with carousing and drunkenness and the anxiety of life, and that day will close on you suddenly like a trap. But it will come on all those who live on the face of the whole earth. Be always on the watch and pray that you may be able to escape all that is about to happen, and that you may be able to stand before the Son of Man. And so I challenge you, ladies, to recharge and reconnect and disconnect from those moments that tend to give you worry and anxiety and tend to have you down and out. And those moments happen every day if you do not disconnect and not listen to the noise. So I wrote a little monologue that I'm gonna perform, and then I'm gonna close out. And I think we're gonna do some Q&A towards the end. But I wrote something called I Didn't Ask to Be Here, because who asked to be here? Yeah, none of us. We just kind of came in and started having to live life and pay bills. So I didn't ask to be here. Okay, kids, we're here. We're where? We're here. Where the music is loud, so the voices get louder and the screens are brighter and the eardrums trimmer. We're where? We're here. Where the food comes fast, the HOV lane moves faster, and we stay on the gas. We're here. We're where? Where the quick fixes, you can't have a difference of opinion, and overly pretentious people will last. We're here. But here, you'll be distracted. You won't know when you're laughing or crying. You won't even know when you're buying. You'll just do. We're here. Until when? Until when? When the music stops, the fun drops, and you tune into the sound behind the noise, where you'll find the man. What man? The man. He's been talking underneath the chatter, and he asked you to come here, but you couldn't hear him because we're here. And so, my sisters, I know that we are in the world, but we don't have to be all consumed. Take breaks from the internet. Find credible sources online. My seasoned sisters, y'all got to pay attention to the things that are not real. There's a lot of AI activity going on, and it's confusing. It can be very frustrating, but I urge you to find credible sources online when you're reading, so you don't fall prey to schemes. Be in tune with yourself to know when things are off. with your body, with your mind, and your spirit. And the only way to do this is you practice eliminating distractions before God eliminates them for you. Thank you.
Amen.
Let's give Chanel another round of applause. For the millennials out there. So we're going to do something a little different this year. In the years past, we used to have a panel discussion, and we would have all of our panelists on the floor, and we would ask questions. Well, this time, we're going to have a panel, but with one person. And so where you get to ask the individual a question or two. And so I'm going to ask someone to bring some stools in. We're going to sit down in front very briefly before we bring in our next speaker, or bring up our next speaker. Really,